Welcome everyone to On the Table with Sir Latab. I'm Meredith Abbott, and today I'm going to be making for you a pan-roasted chicken with a white wine herb sauce. This recipe is incredibly versatile, and you only need a few ingredients. Bone-in, skin-on chicken breast. You need salt and pepper, vegetable oil or olive oil, whichever you prefer to use in your household, chicken stock, white wine, shallots, a lemon, and whichever herbs you would like. Today I have a mixture of sage, oregano, thyme, and rosemary. You could also substitute in some tarragon, parsley, whatever you like. Dill would be amazing. So you can make your own varieties with it in your home. Okay, we're ready to go. First step is we need to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And while that's preheating, we're gonna prep a few ingredients. The first is we need to salt and pepper the chicken. We're not gonna flip it, we're only gonna salt and pepper one side, and then when it goes into the pan, we'll salt the second side. With a nice big pinch of salt, you're gonna hold your hand up about 8 to 10 inches above your chicken and give it a nice sprinkling. I'm gonna do that again with my pepper. Next, I'm just going to prepare our shallots. These are shallots, they look like small red onions. I'm going to cut them in half lengthwise to make them a little easier to deal with and peel off the outside paper. If you can't find any shallots, you could use a yellow onion or white onion. Any of those would be fine. A Spanish sweet. Sometimes shallots can be hard to peel. They do take a little bit of time. Set them aside. So with my opposite hand, I'm gonna hold it gently, take this tip, we're just gonna cut it once through, make a nice parallel cut, being careful, keeping those fingertips out of the way, just like so, perfect. And then I'm gonna come in and make some long cuts, because we're going to mince. Pick all of this up. I have a prep bowl, and if you're like me and your eyes water with onions like they are now, let's go ahead and rinse our hands and our knife. My eyes get so watery. Now we get to move on to our herbs. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull a couple leaves of each type of herb that we're using today. So I have a couple sage leaves. Thyme is nice and bright. It's probably one of the harder ones or most tedious ones to pick. It comes on like a stem. I like to start and do it in 2 pieces. I hold it about midway through, carefully grasp it with my other fingers and pull back. I really love oregano, that's what I have here. And then rosemary. Rosemary is a little bit more on the pungent side, so I'm gonna use 1 sprig of it. So that's about a 1/4 cup to start with of the leaves. So now we need to cut them down. You can gather up all of the leaves with one hand, hold it down with your fingertips, tuck those fingertips under, stick those knuckles out, and we're going to slice them in one direction like this, working our way through that pile. We're just gonna go through this until it looks like confetti. Carefully wipe off your blade, gather this up, and this can all go in your bowl. And now we're ready to cook our chicken. I have a large cast iron skillet preheating because once we sear this chicken in the pan, then we're going to move it to finish cooking in the oven, which is why it's called pan roasted. So this has been heating over medium heat, medium-high heat, which is perfect. I am going to be using a vegetable oil today. It's a small amount, this is about a tablespoon. We just need a thin film of it to cover the surface of our pan. And you know your pan is ready to set your chicken in when the oil starts to shimmer. Now I'm gonna move the oil around, I'm gonna be tipping it around my pan because I wanna coat it. I'm going to go skin side down. You wanna hear a sizzle. Because we seasoned the skin side earlier, now since our hands are clean, we are going to season the underside. Again, nice and high. We're gonna cook the chicken on the skin side for a couple minutes. We're also going to watch the temperature of this. We want it to continue to sizzle, but we don't want the skin to burn. We want the skin to start to render any of the fat that is underneath it and get a nice golden brown color. So we're not gonna touch it. We're gonna leave it be, and we'll check it in about a minute. You'll know the chicken is ready to turn when a couple things happen. One, It'll let you turn it. It'll release from the pan. I've got some good color on part of it. I want a little bit more on this side, so I'm gonna set it back down. If it's not releasing from the pan, just let it cook for a little bit longer. Sometimes also reducing the heat can help gather a little liquid in the pan, which helps also then release your ingredient as well. Lovely, so see how it developed a little bit more browning on that one side. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one over. The smell is amazing. You can still hear the sizzle the whole time. It's a nice sound. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat, and we're going to move this to the oven. Use your handle. This is called a helper handle. Make sure you utilize that and hold your pan from both sides. So the chicken's now in the oven. I'm gonna start checking its temperature after about 15 minutes. Once it comes to about 160 to 165 degrees, we'll remove it completely and then we'll build our pan sauce. Careful, using 2 hands. Remember that this is hot. After you pull a skillet out of the oven, drape the handle with a clean, dry towel. That is a universal indicator that that pan is hot, because inevitably, even if you just took it out, you'll still try to grab it. So now we're just going to remove the chicken. I'm putting it on a rimmed baking sheet. You can also put this on a cutting board. Let some of that drippings fall back into the pan. So now remember, hot pan, so I'm gonna keep this towel here and turn on my heat to about medium. We're gonna let these drippings come up to a simmer. We want this to become hot. Then we're gonna add our shallots. We just wanna sweat these shallots. Not a lot of color to them, we wanna cook them through. While I'm moving the shallots around the pan, I'm also taking the tip of my wooden spoon and scraping up any of those browned bits from the bottom of the pan. That is all that delicious flavor that came off the chicken and was built up while we were browning the chicken skin. So they've been cooking for about a minute. I can smell them, they're quite fragrant. So at this point, I'm going to add in a small amount of white wine. Any white wine of your choice, whatever you would drink in a glass is what you should cook with. Let it cook, stir it around. And now we're going to add in our chicken broth. So if you're a household that doesn't have alcohol, you don't have to use wine. You could use more chicken broth. You could use apple juice. I'm gonna bring the heat up to about medium high because I want to bring this to a simmer. While this is coming up to a simmer, I'm going to juice a lemon into the liquid that's already in there. Great, so now we're just waiting for this to come to a simmer and reduce down. So if you want, you can turn up the heat to high until it starts to bubble, and then we'll reduce it to about medium. Okay, now our pan sauce has been reducing. It is reduced by about half. At this point, I'm just going to reduce the heat to low. We're going to add in our herbs. I'm just going to take a baseline taste. Remember, this is very hot. You just need a little bit. It's very bright and aromatic. There's a balance. I can taste the herbs. It's really nice against the lemon and the wine and the chicken stock. So now we're ready to plate. 1 breast per plate. Grab a large spoon, tilt your skillet a little bit to make sure you get both the liquid and those herbs and shallots, and go around your chicken. We worked really hard to get that nice crispy skin, so we don't want to put too much of this sauce on top. This dish is wonderful to serve with a side salad, some roasted potatoes, some steamed rice. For recipe videos, cooking classes, and more, visit surlatab.com. Enjoy!